Alright, I'm a glutton for punishment. We're going to do a continuation here. And we're going to listen to Simone and Niles, or I don't know.
Hello, Simone. I'm excited to be here with you today.
I don't know what this guy's name is. But this is Based Camp. They're funny. And they're like this. She's got her little baby. They have babies. And, you know, they're kind of weird, but it's okay. We'll see what they talk about. Tucker Carlson.
You can see our episode on Candace Owens. Psychosis Maxing was Candace Owens.
I mean, Tucker Carlson used to be on Crossfire on Fox News, and it sucked. Or was that CNN? It was CNN. Like, all these people, you can't trust a single one of them. You can't even trust these people. Well, but these people are pretty obviously ridiculous. They're just like, you know, doing their own thing. And it's ridiculous. So this is what, the Ponziani opening? Is that what that's called?
I think of a time traveler. This is my home. But I think you
He
found
plays
me
that.
and time traveled with me. And she took that and
I like to play this.
On F6. So that's an example of one. Like, just
They don't necessarily see this too often either, but this is totally playable here.
Actual crazy town stuff. And then you have people like Nick Fuentes, right?
Bishop B5.
Nick Fuentes has his own agenda, and we'll go into him more later in this because
Take that would be bad. Boom, boom, boom. I think I gotta play that.
That he was just sort of a shock jock who was choosing whatever was the most shocking thing to say.
And you don't war.
No, I think the war has elucidated his actual coherent agenda. Clearly, it was his. And that is very interesting. Then I'm like, oh,
dang.
And it is. What it means is that he is more of a direct enemy of any mainstream MAGA America First conservative than I originally realized.
Really? Ooh. Okay.
Because I just didn't get it before. And what I realized, he tells you and his audience what his real goals are. He just leaves out a few steps in between. But to the next point, Tucker's different.
Pawn captures
Tucker
D5.
is somebody who seems to be broadly sane. He is somebody who I really enjoyed and watched his content.
Queen captures D5.
Right? Like,
and he's been around for a long time. Like, this is one of those lifetime media figures that, at least if you're a millennial in the United States, has just been part of the media landscape, right?
End of his run with Fox, which, by the way, people may not know this Collins family lore, but we were supposed to be on his show. We were in talks with his booking team.
I forgot about that.
Last Friday, they
See, look at the baby.
because it was his last show.
Look at the baby. Look at the baby.
And that was brought on him all of a sudden out of nowhere. But we were in talks with his booking team.
Old School. You gotta watch that movie if you've never seen Old School. It's funny.
Split up. But anyway, during
Give
that
it every
period,
little
he
piece of
was,
my
I
heart
think, sort
now,
of like
baby.
the intellectual-based voice. Like the leading thinker in that degree. This was in the
Dude.
It was post Jordan Peterson at that period. And
They look so
he had
young too, like
really, I think,
in
sharp
their
and interesting
matching
takes.
glasses.
So I hear some of his
Match
takes
made in
now,
heaven.
Castle's
Apparently.
king side.
I just am trying to model how he came to an understanding of reality that is so divergent from anything that I believe when I saw him before. And I think I've come to it. Simone helped me by
On
being
A6.
like, you need to remember he's a boomer. Okay, he's seeing the world through boomer goggles. He's not going to see the world the way you do.
I was
But
thinking,
my
you know,
and this is
how do I get my
one quote that
pieces
really
out?
inspired this for me. There's been multiple quotes.
And I think it would be
Bishop
easier
captures
if his
C6
queen
check.
just wasn't here
Queen
anymore.
captures C6.
He just wants to damage my pawn
Queen
structure a little
captures
bit.
C6 check.
That's not that big a deal.
Pawn captures
There's not a
C6.
single
Maybe it is a big deal.
Pawn
Western
D4.
city that's thriving,
Probably is a big deal.
and they're all degrading in exactly the same way.
Is a
Probably
lot of
just
it
should have
just
played.
moral decay, or is it actually true
It's,
from everything?
it's a lot of things, but
Yeah.
it's self-hatred. Every city,
Crazy.
every European city, every American city. So I notice it because I travel outside the Western world, the white world. I'll just be honest, the white world.
Right.
I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's incredible to be in a place that has
Pawn
pride in
E4.
itself, that believes
Correct.
in its
Rook
religion
E1.
and culture. that
Rook
thinks we're
E1.
we're onto something. This is
Fudge.
great. Look at what we're doing. We're really
Pawn
proud of this.
F5.
Carlson, this one's for you if you see it. Your commentary pushed me towards
Knight
looking
E5.
deeper into these systems that we fall blindly in, and it actually made me a Muslim. So Tucker, I would love to talk to you. We make mistakes sometimes, but Tucker,
Bishop D7.
it would be great to talk to you, inshallah, God willing. You should know who Iran is a threat to. So, peace be upon you, Tucker.
But he also had one where he was talking about how Moscow was better than American cities.
What was radicalizing, very shocking, and very disturbing for me was the city of Moscow, where I'd never been, the biggest city in Europe, 13 million people. And it is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea.
Oh, good.
It is so much
The
Knight
knight is
captures
going to
D7.
save the day.
and prettier.
King
aesthetically
captures
than any
D7.
country, city in the United States that you have to, and this is not
Knight
ideological.
D2.
Oh, but that was it. But that was a separate stage. Like there are these various points in recent history where Tucker Carlson has done something that makes him seem like a foreign agent, like going to Moscow and walking through the grocery stores and being like, "Oh my gosh, this is so
Bishop
much better than
D6.
America." And now he's just doing it with Middle East. It's
Knight
like
C4.
Middle East edition.
Yeah, so first of
Knight
all, a lot of people are like,
F6.
oh, he can't be a foreign agent because he's super rich, which is not true. It is true that his stepmother owned a family fortune from some
That's good, huh?
food production company that was bought
Give
by
up the
Campbell
bishop, but
years
we're
ago.
already
But not
doing
anymore.
okay. I
Like,
mean,
the money
I don't know. I get in the
from
most
Health
hideous
Records
positions.
didn't pass
Pawn
through.
H3.
So he actually might be up for money. And if you look at the amount of money he has, it's that sweet spot that comes from, it's estimated
going on
around
here?
50 million, which is that sweet spot of like, I'm taking bribes, but I'm not stupidly wealthy from the bribes, that bribes don't make sense anymore.
Blah, blah,
So that
blah.
You think? Well, wait. You're trying to argue that someone with
Let's
$50
see if we can
million
induce
has, like,
some
Rook
uh,
AB8.
50 million
weaknesses
is
here.
the amount of money I typically expect
Bishop
an extremely
E3.
corrupt person to be. If I was a corrupt official in
Knight
the Middle East,
D5.
I would expect them to have around $50 million. If I was a corrupt Russian, I'd expect them to have around $50 million. If I was somebody taking... It's the amount that you can earn from bribes
Oh.
where you still want more bribes.
Bishop C1.
Like if he
Yeah,
had like
they're
$1
pretty
billion,
quick.
I wouldn't think that Russia or Qatar could bribe him.
Bum, bum,
I
bum,
I
also...
think maybe there's the point to be made too that
bum, bum, bum,
wealthy people
Rook
aren't
HE8.
above loving a good deal or free things. In fact, many people who have worked for high net worth individuals have commented that there is no one more, like, what's the word?
Really?
Miserly, yeah. No one more miserly than really rich people who are like, well, I'm not going to pay like $2.50 as a convenience fee for this. You need to walk 5 blocks to, you know, that kind
Well,
of thing.
the point being, he's gone pretty far and put a lot of
So
effort into debasing
we
himself.
can
It seems that there's some motivation
do
for this.
some-
That's what I want to
Bishop
dig
E3.
into.
Yeah,
just
I don't
immediate
think you
counterpoint.
want to do that,
What
buddy.
if saying these
And again,
things
Scooby Scooby,
and
yeah.
garnering the controversy
go
which
here.
we
On
are
F4.
now participating in drives views, which is to his benefit, whether or not it's,
Knight
it's
captures
money or
D6.
attention. You know, sometimes wealthy people
Cool.
really want
Captures
attention.
D6.
He's certainly getting it by dealing these takes out.
Well, at least historically,
Bishop
that
C1.
didn't seem to be his strategy, which you could say is maybe
Pawn
post-Fox.
G5.
He's tried to move to a just anything
He goes
for
there,
attention
we'll
strategy.
hop
He's also
around.
interviewing people
We got
like
our
Nick
pawn
Fuentes, which,
defended.
again, is garnering a lot of
Could also
controversy. People
increase
really
the
came at him
defense
for,
on the
you
pawn.
know, according to them, platforming this terrible person who should
Pawn
not be getting
A3.
any more attention.
Eh,
So he's done things that would be concurrent with a strategy to get views based on controversy.
but there's a difference between controversy and making yourself look stupid. And some of the stuff that he's done recently just looks stupid. So an example, and we'll go into it in a bit,
Yeah,
were
I'm
his
feeling
Dubai
that.
comments about how perfect Dubai is and how everything in Dubai is great and why can't America be more like Dubai? And I was telling someone, I was like, going to Dubai and thinking that
Pawn
it's like this
C4.
beautiful, perfect place is a bit like going to Disney World and coming back and being like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. I saw the Elsa. She was just standing in the road, hugging children. She's the most amazing person. Everything, and the
God forbid she actually be governing over her country. At least that's concurrent with the lore.
Yeah, the parallels are really actually strong here because people don't know Disney World has plainclothes agents all over the street, like watching to make sure that like nobody's throwing a fit or being
That was
unhappy.
actually a
and
bad
you'll be
move.
like arrested and removed from the park if you are. And Dubai works on a very similar system. Outside of like all the slavery and everything that makes the Emirates work, with 80% of the people there not being citizens and having to live by very different
Knight
laws
F6.
and having a very two-tiered system between Emiratis and non-Emiratis.
Yeah.
There's
Rook
actually
B1.
influencers there have spoken very openly about their experience with the authorities
D5.
regulating what influencers are allowed to say. I saw one clip where an influencer was
Pawn
talking
captures
about
D5.
actually
And
being
do I
taken
take
in
with
to
the
talk with
knight
these
or the
people who didn't
pawn?
arrest him or detain him.
Take
They
with the
just
knight.
brought him in, and he commented on
Knight
how young
captures
and attractive
D5.
they were. And
Yeah, we
Bishop
were joking
D2.
that like when she first told me this, I was like, oh my god,
Rook
one really
B3.
good way to handle it, to have like really attractive looking, like blinged out like Emirates, but then because Emirates, if they are working in a position like that, bureaucratic positions, they often have quite a lot of wealth. So you would expect them to have like their designer brands walking in like a group with like a boombox and like very Zoolander to come and arrest
Mugatu. It's basically Mugatu.
Aren't you afraid the fashion police will come and beat you with their fabulous batons?
Yeah, basically
Don't talk
Mugatu.
now. It's exactly that. I just love it so much.
I'm doing like poses in the background while like they're explaining to the influencer, like
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
like,
It is a very Zoolander kind of situation where everything's just kind of pretend ridiculous world and everything's kind of on the
King
surface.
H2.
Because I've also looked at some of the types of properties and areas that people are encountering when in Dubai, and it's very much that like manufactured luxury where if you come from a disadvantaged background and you may not be familiar with, I don't know, historical luxury, you think it's nice, but it's often very thin and not a lot of actual thought or even good design has gone into it. Then obviously there's some areas and buildings and stuff in Dubai with really, really good construction, excellent fixtures and everything. But I think there's a lot of it that just is a fake luxury in the way, like, you know, a butterfly might have a face on its wings.
Pawn
and, like, all these
captures
people, like,
E3.
see it, they're like, oh, a face,
Yeah.
it's a face, and it's not. No, it has been designed to make you believe that for a specific strategic reason.
Bishop
Dubai is
C3.
actually, for people who
Right.
haven't been to Dubai.
Have you been? Did you go
Yeah,
on
of course
that?
I've been to Dubai. Yeah, Dubai is it really sort of reminds me of a giant mall with extra high ceilings everywhere you go, and like
Huh.
way too much marble.
Knight
but it
captures
doesn't
C3.
feel
That
like
sounds nice.
Pawn
It
captures
has that
C3.
second world.
Rook
anyone
captures
who's ever
C3.
lived in a second world
Rook
country
B7 check.
where like all the food's
King
just like a
D6.
little off, and you can't get the highest quality anything, and everything feels a little like construction problems, stuff like this.
Rook
Dubai has a
H7.
similar vibe to it.
Defend.
But
Six.
very wealthy and more polished, and also stupidly hot. Like everything is stupidly hot. But anyway, I'm
Pawn
going to go into his
A4.
actual quotes here, and we can dissect what he might be getting at. So the first
Okay.
one that really got me was: there's not a single Western city that's thriving. They're all in moral and physical decay because of self-hatred and a lost will to live. What's fascinating is even in this attack on the West here,
Rook A3.
he is driving more. There are ways to say that the urban monoculture is a problem without being self-hating Westerner. And yet he is saying, I am a self-hating
D1.
Westerner because the West is failing and
Pawn E2.
self-hating, right? I'm like, you don't need to drive the very thing that you say
Rook
that you're
E1.
against, right?
Rook captures
ways to
A4.
attack, you know, progressive
F7.
tendencies, urban monoculture tendencies, while saying that this isn't true of all layers
Rook
of
captures
Western society,
D4.
certainly not the layers
Rook
that we're attempting
F2.
to save.
Rook
But then he
D2.
goes on
King
to say things
G3.
like Sharia law has made Islamic
Pawn
countries more
C5.
advanced than the West.
King
And I
F3.
travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. The Muslim countries governed by Sharia law, and you go there, and it's incredible to be in a place that has
King
pride in
D5.
itself, that believes in its religion and culture, that thinks we're onto something. That kind of self-confidence is what creates stability and hospitality. And in a place like Dubai, which is basically, it's a luxury brand. Basically, people go to Dubai because it's beautiful, rich, and clean, and above all, because it's safe.
Pawn G4.
And it's got the busiest airport in the world. And he goes, you start seeing a video on Instagram
Pawn
of smoke
C4.
in the Dubai airport, and you're like, I think I'm going to Cabo this year. Oh, sorry, drug cartels, whatever. Maybe I'll go to Sedena this year, implying a preference ship away from the United States. And then he goes on to say, anyone who likes decency and order and cleanliness is hoping the Gulf will
Cool, I
recover.
win.
The Gulf is not a threat to us. These are some of our closest allies. So, huge
About freaking
notes
time,
we can add
man.
to a lot of the stuff he's saying here. First, really weird.
I can't believe how inconsistent my play is, but I can barely see, so what the fuck?
Are
Knight
much
F3.
cleaner and nicer than American cities.
Pawn
I should be
C3.
doing good.
There are a
Pawn D5.
handful of places where
Pawn
you could
F6.
Not good.
make them
Okay,
work.
why did
Bishop
I think that was so good?
By
Queen D6.
What's better, knight
Bishop
e7?
B5.
Knight
the
e7, huh?
vast
Just
minority-
trap the bishop in
the
there?
vast majority of countries under Sharia law are
Knight E7.
And
like
then
some of the
why
biggest
would he
on
release
Earth.
the
If-
Kraken on
and
that?
this is weird,
They're saying
like, has he
take, but
not been like anywhere else in the Middle East? Has
super
he not
important.
been anywhere in North Africa?
Bishop
like, I'm actually, has
e6.
he never even been to like Egypt? Like that's
Okay.
Egypt, Morocco, like
So he
anywhere, right?
takes,
Pawn
These are-
captures
and then the
D5.
queen
Outside
takes. Yeah,
another
yeah, yeah.
example of this.
Queen captures
These
D5.
Alright.
places,
And then
there
d4.
is, like literally
Pawn
I
D4.
don't think, I
And
think if you
then
go to some of the
e4 is
worst
playable, but
neighborhoods
I
in
like
the United
e4.
States,
e4 is pretty
they
sweet.
would be
But
about
bishop g4
equivalent
apparently
Bishop
is a
G4.
little stronger.
neighborhoods at the
And
top
then
10%
c4 just seems like,
Pawn
Now,
C4.
no, here, I'm not
what's
saying the top 1% because there's
what's the
some
score
extremely
here?
wealthy people
Oh,
in these
but
countries.
you gotta
But I think
checkaroo.
around the top 10% would be equivalent.
But then he's
with,
got a
like,
little
a
blockaroo.
dangerous,
Bishop
like
E3.
a strawberry mansion in
But then
Philadelphia or something like
you
that.
take.
An
Bishop
example of
captures
this, in
F3.
Egypt, they did a poll
Then
on
you play
what
knight to
percent of women
d2.
Knight
in
D2.
SA, you know
Sneaky.
what percent of Egyptian women have been
Then
married?
queen to g6.
Queen G6.
Knight
I mean, how are they defining
takes.
it?
G takes.
I don't remember.
Because it's gonna die anyway.
Like,
Pawn
okay,
captures
like
F3.
20?
99 or 98%.
But at least it
Basically
isn't
all
total
women in jail.
catastrophe.
Pawn
I
captures
mean,
D4.
it's looking pretty
This is
bad
what I
though.
mean when people are like, oh, it's really,
Bishop
it's not
captures
really that
D4.
dangerous to be in Egypt. It's like, no,
And then a6.
And
Pawn
this
A6.
is
So what was all that?
This is just like an anti-reality statement. The second
Bishop captures
anti-reality
D4.
statement, and I
That
mean,
was
we
if you
must
play
know
c4
as
in
an
that
educated
position.
Bishop
person,
E3.
is that
Alright,
Bishop
boom,
G4.
boom,
countries in the
boom.
Gulf
Like
Pawn
that.
now
D4.
are the countries that are
And then
promoting
the-
us finishing this war most aggressively.
Now it's saying e4 is
because
better,
if we
which,
don't finish the
Pawn
yeah,
war-
it
E4.
seems a little
This is the
better. I
thing
don't
that
know.
gets me- Okay, we don't finish the war.
c4
we let
frees
Iran
up the queen to go to
They
h5.
keep blocking it. Economically,
Knight
China is
g1,
the
knight
main
d2, knight
global power who's
g5.
hurt by that, but who is the biggest
Knight
regional
g5.
power who's hurt by that? It's Qatar. That is classically one of our
don't know.
biggest enemies in
Doesn't
the,
seem
in the
great.
region and one of Iran's biggest friends.
F
People
takes
are like,
g5.
oh no, Iran
Yeah,
is
there's a
selective
pawn
in letting
there.
ships to like 2 a day on
Um,
average, not at a meaningful
Or knight
rate.
g1.
And they charge them like $2 million to get through, so they're not even like economically that.
So the
viable.
best
This is what
it's
Knight
thinking
G1.
is that.
To try to get Chinese ships
And
through.
then you go
The point
a6.
being is this is a war.
All right.
On
and it
A6.
makes sense
A6.
why Saudi
Better
Arabia
trade.
wants us to finish this
No?
in the UAE,
Oh, it's pinned.
And Qatar wants us to finish it. If we
Can't
don't finish
take
it,
anyway,
even
so
Saudi
he
Arabia
just
ships a lot of its
goes
oil
redeploy.
administrative,
Knight E2.
Looking to attack my
Is it
queen.
Hormuz?
Somehow probably on the
something, yeah, I don't
g3.
know. The UAE does. Qatar definitely does. Like the UAE might be able to like because there's.
Oh my goodness, but lo and behold,
some sort of
you
solution.
can
Pawn captures
take.
B5.
But Qatar definitely.
Queen captures A8.
So he's
Knight
saying stuff
B4.
like this, and I'm like,
Interesting, man.
okay, what's going on?
But
So
that's
then
with the
I wanna go into
c4
other
move.
things he said.
That's
So
kinda
if I can
ballsy.
piece together a coherent world ideology. Like,
I guess
why
that's pretty
he
plausible
feels
though. It's pretty.
the law.
These are pretty human.
Well, also because
Moves.
even in his typical recording
And he
studio,
just
you know,
gives
his
this
branding
up.
is
Bishop
Christian
E3.
So right back. Is there any way to
dad
avoid it?
Knight B4.
right? Like,
No,
that's
because
kind of what
he's-
going for with the vest and
he's
everything. Like, I
smothered.
just- and the white button down.
And
just so
there's no
odd
way
to
to
me that he
unsmother
was
him
saying all
and
this
defend it at the same
very
time. I mean,
non.
what are you supposed to
Christian. I
do?
mean, he
Like
even talks
this?
about it when
King
he's like,
D1.
oh, you know,
That's kind of okay.
I'm a Christian man, but you know these people aren't, you know.
But
making
you
me
still go,
convert
huh?
my religion.
Knight
They-
C2.
they- you know, I tell them that
And
I'm
if it's
a
supposedly
believer.
defended
Capture
it,
C2.
And
it's not really defending
yeah,
it
yeah,
because
he's
that's
great.
captures
hanging.
It
E2
just
check.
surprises me that therefore he's so anti.
Holy crapoly. And this is a Ponziani?
America for that,
King
right?
captures
I'm
C2.
sure he would take
That's
exception
what
Knight
that's
to
E2.
called, right?
accused of
Pawn
being
E4.
anti-American. He would probably
Pawn
go back and be
F6.
like, no,
Yeah.
I believe in America.
Queen
I'm
A4.
This
an
pattern
American
here.
liberal.
Pawn
I'm
F6.
proud of
E4,
myself.
E5, knight
Queen A4.
F3, knight
Knight
C6.
C6.
He was
Pawn
talking not
C3.
just about
Yeah,
the
pawn
Middle East, how, like,
C3.
you go to Japan,
So
it's
E4,
also
E5,
about,
knight
you
F3,
know,
knight
who they are,
C6,
confident in themselves.
C3
And I think maybe
is
what
the
he's
Ponziani.
here is
And the
this
best refutation of it is to play
Pawn
D5
D5.
immediately.
that he's just so sick of.
So,
now at this point,
then we get-
it's not that
And then
Well,
usually
so
they'll
in
just
this
trade off,
explicit quote where he's
but
talking
this
about
is the
Queen
snooker
A4.
move. I like doing
Qatar is
Pawn
this.
F6.
diverse. Like, He wants
They
America
haven't
to be
really
more
seen that
diverse.
before. They
But in
usually
America,
come at
like
you
we
with
say
like
we want
that.
Bishop
So
B5.
then we
move
better
away
go
with
like
too many black
this.
people into our neighborhoods and stuff
Then
like that.
they take
people
Pawn
almost
captures
always
D5.
there.
They're welcoming of
Queen
other
Play the
captures
D4,
diversity.
push
Pawn
the
D4.
E4,
Pawn E4.
Are you kidding me?
and
We love black
how many people do you think is playing
They
knight
run and move to
G1 in
vote
this
because there are no
situation?
black people.
Absolutely. Send their kid to the.
They're not really going to want to, so they're probably going to
And
come
it-
up
our
with
version of it isn't
Pawn
working at
C4.
all.
hit you
At
here.
So, but
Fling
you
it
go to a
over
country
here.
like
Queen H5.
Japan or the Emirates or Qatar
Now
or Saudi
finally they
Arabia,
realize
you see that
I can't go here, I can't
people
go
are
here, I can't go
self-confident when
here,
they're
I can't go here.
pleased with what they're doing and they believe that their system is the right system.
What about
That
push?
self-confidence
Pawn D5.
results
But then we
in a
just
kind of
take, and that's
welcoming
ugly.
attitude.
They're
It's
Muslims.
a country
Yeah.
governed by Sharia
Pawn
law.
captures
Right.
F3.
And they're like, that's great.
Good for you.
And then
Like
Pawn
promoting
captures
C6.
more integration in the United States, where I should point out, by the way, if you're familiar with
King
the way
F7.
places like Dubai are
Nice.
actually handled, they have giant, incredibly segregated ghettos where they keep their workforces of mostly Indians.
And they're saying C5 and
and
C takes
where the
B7
cities
is
look
probably
diverse,
more
all you're seeing
believable.
is ultra rich people from all over the world who have escaped with their
Pawn
country's
captures
money.
B7.
That's typically why
Free
you
the
end up
bishop.
in Dubai if
Captures
you were
B7.
a corrupt leader in part of Africa, or you were a corrupt leader. And so, of course, that's going to, in East Asia, that's
G4.
going to look very diverse. On the
Whatever.
surface, if you take
Pawn
the most
G4.
corrupt people from all over the world, they're going to be able to interact with each other plainly, like they're not going to need to steal
Queen
from each other or
E5
anything like
check.
this. And
Queen
you
E5
basically keep
check.
everyone else
Holy
in a
crap. So you get play like that,
prison. That's gonna
Ponziani.
look really nice on face value, but that's not actual diversity, right?
That's
Nobody,
pretty crazy.
like,
So we're looking at like
when
the
you-
engine's
you're
best
at Harvard,
moves.
right?
And that can
you
be,
are going to like your student
you know,
club and a bunch of black people show up. You don't think you're
I mean,
about to get jumped
you have
by
that
them,
neural
right?
net
No
Alpha
one-
Zero
a bunch of- but the same
program
student,
that
you know,
beats
in a
all
different
chess programs,
context,
but they just,
walking
it's
alone
pretty,
at
I think
night
it's
on the
pretty
street,
expensive
walking
for
the
them
other
to
side of the
run
road.
it.
And that's because those
Because
are
he uses
two
some sort of
different
weird like
populations
Google
that
neural
you're
net
dealing with, right?
crap,
And
or I have no
every
idea, but
sane person is
I just know
aware
Alpha
that
Zero
there
is
is a
like
difference
can
between,
beat
you know,
Stockfish
random
pretty
African
well
immigrants,
handily, like can beat
and
like any
super
engine.
wealthy people who have
And
escaped
it's some
their country
weird
to live in
neural
Dubai.
net
But I found that interesting.
thing
But he's still pushing
that you
this,
can't
like,
even really run
boomer
on a regular
narrative
computer
of,
anyway.
like,
So, but it doesn't
the
think in
ultra
terms of the
integrated
same number of
integration
calculations.
America,
Like
where even I would say
it'll
America
like whereas
can work with
Stockfish will
different
evaluate
populations while having
millions of
regional ghettos.
positions,
Like, I do
it
not
only
think we need to force
evaluates like
integrate
hundreds of
people of
thousands or
different
something, but
racial
it still
groups or
beats
even
it
create cultural
because it's
pressures
just
to do
smarter
that.
or something. I
Like,
don't
it's
know. It's
okay
crazy.
if people want to
All right,
live
let's do one more.
predominantly around people who are like themselves. And
And
we
we'll
shouldn't,
listen to
you know,
these
that Tucker's creating this kind
weird
of shame.
intellectuals.
So before I go further with this, I'll just explain where I think he's getting that perspective from. I think he has this
Pawn E4.
boomer idea of America as like
Pawn E5.
a true melting
Bishop
pot,
C4.
and like diversity is
Knight
actually our
C6.
strength, and that he's still attempting to push that mindset of which basically no mainstream youth conservative agrees with. And I think that like even people like us, where I'm like, look,
What do you do? Did he do something?
Value from diversity. Like, I don't want a meal that's just
Nope.
one food, right? Like one ingredient. But a meal isn't better because you added more ingredients. And there are some ingredients that just don't go together and shouldn't be on the same plate. And I think that that's the way we need to treat our country in immigration and diversity, is to realize that different groups are actually different, and that some of them are going to have a higher probability of integrating and becoming good American citizens. And even of the traditional American cultural groups, they interact with each other in unique ways, and they shouldn't be forced to integrate. But
Oh my
that's, I think,
goodness.
what many modern,
So-
like, center conservatives think, which is not what he thinks.
Oh,
He wants to go
dude,
back
they're
to
gonna have to
the
auto
boomer vision
resign.
of American
They're
patriotism.
disconnected.
But
Bummer.
then he says stuff
Bummer
like
for them.
this. What was radicalizing,
So,
very shocking, this is
That's
during his
not
tour of
worth
Moscow,
reviewing, right?
and the
Okay,
city
let's
was
do
the
another
city of
one.
Moscow, the biggest city in Europe with 13 million people. It's so much nicer than any city in my country. It's so much cleaner, safer, prettier, aesthetically, its architecture, its food, its service
Pawn
than
E4.
any city in the United States. And then specifically on the Moscow subway
Pawn
specifically, he said
E5.
it's nicer than in
Knight
our
F3.
country. No graffiti, no
Knight
smells, no drug
C6.
addicts. So
Bishop
note
C4.
here, the Moscow subway is
Knight
genuinely
F6.
really nice, but that's
Pawn
because
D3.
of the holdover of communism, where they wanted to
Bishop
make the subway
C5.
look really nice because they thought that
Got
that
the
like,
Italian game
made
again.
everything look nice. But Moscow itself
Knight C3.
is one of the worst.
Okay, this is a little
most
different.
dangerous cities in all of Europe. Like one of the most gangstery.
How so? Just in terms of crime stats or what?
Yeah, crime, rundownness, falling apartness, like bleakness.
A nice cafe.
On
I'm gonna
D6.
walk into this because now I know how to do this. Let's see if I remember.
Ahmad
On H3.
Someone's drying out their shoes. Pillow. I don't know what's going on here.
Like, and this is even the thing. If
Bishop
he had said
E6.
those same things, but he was touring St. Petersburg, I'd be like, oh yeah, but that's just St. Petersburg. You should go to Moscow and see how bad it can be. But Moscow's not safe. Like, there is like a 4-block area of Moscow that is like reasonably, like, you know, like rich part.
Bishop
And then
B3.
you get outside of that,
Okay.
and Moscow is like, I know I've actively, from like my friends who travel a lot, I was thinking
Knight
about going to
D4.
Moscow once, and they were like, because one of my good friends worked in Moscow for a while and like
Is that good?
terrorism related stuff, and she was like, bro, you do not want to go to Moscow.
Knight
Feels
captures
about
D4.
right.
She goes, you do
I'm
not.
a big fan of St. Petersburg. And I think you've been to St.
She's
Petersburg.
like, go to St. Petersburg. And I'm like, I've been to St. Petersburg. It's great. But she's like, Moscow is not St. Petersburg. Do not think you're going to get the St. Petersburg experience from Moscow.
So is it like Edinburgh, Glasgow kind of thing? Or what?
No. Well, no, Glasgow gets a worse reputation. than
Bishop
it actually is.
captures
Glasgow's
D4.
Mostly fine in the historic parts. I might call it one of my favorite cities, actually. It's a fine city. Now there are
Yeah, but that's the
This
point.
is really good
Basically
because
making
now he doesn't
Moscow
have this
also
knight to sacrifice
mostly
Bishop
cool.
G5.
when I
It just has
play
less-
this.
Pawn H6.
Moscow's more like a state capital.
And I
Bishop
totally
H4.
box him out.
Pawn G5.
There you
Bishop
go,
G5.
buddy.
Like DC, no one actually. No, because a lot of people live there. I think I follow some influencers who live there and talk about what it's
No.
like
A
living
ton
in
of
this
people live
Russian
there. It's a very populated city, but it's a city
Yeah.
that basically became artificially populated during communism as sort of the bureaucratic hive at the center of all bureaucratic hives. If you've ever been to a state capital city, like, you know, the one in Pennsylvania.
So I'm thinking of trying to
Harrisburg, or
get
what's the
something
state
going on
capital
like
of California?
this.
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
There's
like
that over
Harrisburg,
there.
it's like
Train museum.
Then there's
have
this
that sort
business
of
over here. I
vibe
might
to
also
them
be
of,
able
like,
to
the
play
most
H4.
soulless
So we got our
cities.
queen side business
Yeah.
and our
Like,
king side
everything's
business.
kind of slummy,
We also have this
everything's
center
kind of dirty,
business.
and they're cities that are really only there. They're quite populated, but they're only there, like, because that's where the organizational administration is. Moscow has a very similar vibe, but like dialed up to 100.
Okay.
So it's not. I don't think he could get this takeaway if he was like being. So that's.
I
where
don't know,
get, like, the
man.
Moscow one.
If I
Being
push
fooled by
H4,
Dubai, I
5,
think it's a
H5,
witless boomer, but I don't-
will this
sorry,
pawn
witless
be
boomer
vulnerable?
fooled by Dubai.
Do I
can't see
care?
anyone
Maybe it
unless he had
will.
a handler the entire time, which he made. He
I'm
likely did.
sure you must have. I think just the visa situation going to Russia, I think, is fairly.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
the reason
he's
he
got-
had this view on
no, I
Moscow
got my
is he's like a very,
thing here, but he
when
can play to
someone fits his
here,
pre-existing
this
worldview, he has
queen,
this very uncritical
tying my
vibe to
queen
it.
down to that
And so he
rook.
goes around and he's like, yeah.
I think he is very trusting. He comes across as very trusting.
If
This
he
is-
captures my
You
bishop,
know how his Nick Fuentes interview went. You know, he tries to be empathetic. And I
then
think
this
is one
square
of
becomes weak.
the reasons why his interview.
All the more reason to push H4.
Kind of abrasive and confrontational and not actually listening to people. Like he'll express.
And I still
his
got
doubts
this
with
knight
people, but in a
threat
very
coming
respectful way when
in.
he's talking with them. And I think he's a more agreeable personality. Like he's not intentionally or euphorically disagreeable like some media figures. And I think that maybe that leads him when he's traveling in foreign nations to
Let's
kind
play
of
C6.
yes, and any we'll say propaganda.
It's the thing that-
D2.
Queen to D2. Okay, so yeah, now he's attacking that
Which
pawn.
is, if you grew up with that sort of boomer idea of
going?
America, where, you know, forced integration is like
Let's-
a
Let's
obvious
scare him
net
to the
good,
king side.
And
Don't
that
castle queen side. I'm coming to
the
get ya.
generation think it's like sort of cool to, and that they have full permission, being American, to be down on America and
Rook
American
B1.
culture.
Rook B1.
And that
Okay,
that's
I'm
almost sort of
gonna
like a positive thing. Like, it's a very leftist thing to do, but some
play
people
here.
that have been around like wealthy circles for long enough,
because
that-
I don't
and
want my
delved into that
F pawn
enough,
anymore
may
Knight
to
have
E2.
accidentally integrated that with their
knight
world
to
perspective.
D2.
And so he goes to other places, and to try
Okay.
to be hospitable because he's got the really nice handler and stuff like that.
Bishop
he
B6.
ends up saying things like that, like, this is nicer than anywhere I've seen in America these days, you know.
Pawn
And then he ends
C3.
up integrating that belief.
Pawn
both
A5.
complaining about a
That was the
problem, but
easiest
also
move I
being
ever
one of the
made.
chief sort of distributors of the
Pawn
problem. He's
A4.
complaining
Right.
about but being unable to see that because
That's fine
just
though.
trying
Oh,
to
that
be nice
hangs
in the
his
moment and
piece.
not having some-
Agreeable and
Better
conformist
just take it.
broadly
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah.
Bishop captures B3.
That-
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So basically, you're
Pawn
saying
captures
like
B5.
he'll pick up the temperature or
Pawn
vibe
captures
of a room
B5.
and then just project it.
Castles
and so when he's in
kingside.
America, and everyone's just around, like on average,
Bishop
Right
E6.
back.
people sort of in the media and
King
online
H1.
are very negative
Pow,
about
pow,
America,
pow.
so he just picks up on that and projects it, and then he goes to other countries.
Bishop
and
Cash in
obviously
that
he's
piece I
with
just made.
lenders and
Pawn captures
leaders who are
H3.
obviously very bullish on those
Queen
countries,
captures
and he's
H3
getting
check.
That's pretty sneaky of you there.
King G1.
highlighted
but it's
versions
actually
of those,
more
and then he's picking up on
than-
that and saying,
the part of American society that is most anti-American.
Well, I didn't
most
get it
negative
all. Oh,
about
God.
America are
Look at this.
wealthy,
Well, I'm not
elite
seeing.
Americans.
Oh, but they're
These
knights
are
there.
people in
Good.
elite
I'm glad I'm
institutions.
not
These are
seeing
people
it.
in elite positions.
yeah,
That's
fair.
the group that he is disproportionately socializing with.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
the people who are most pro.
Well, and especially, Malcolm, keep in mind, I
Knight
think also
H5.
the old guard of conservatives, which is definitely what he's coming from,
Yeah.
instead of the new tech right, is definitely of that
Bishop
more like
H2.
negative.
Yeah.
Every techno optimist or optimistic, patriotic, conservative I'm aware of
Now he's got to
now
open it
is
up.
more on the new tech right end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Whereas
So it's
the-
also about his flavor of conservatism.
Yeah,
Knight captures
If you
F4.
go to Russia or Dubai,
Pawn captures
the
F4.
ultra-wealthy individuals
King
are
H1.
actually genuinely pretty jingoistic. If
Yes,
you're
yes.
ultra-wealthy in Russia, you're likely making money off of
Rook
state
G8.
corruption, right? And so
Rook G1.
that means that you want Putin and the current regime to stay in power. You are pro.
Castles
Israel, you're
queenside.
pro- It's the same with Dubai or Qatar. If you don't make a point of trying to get to know average people on the ground in Dubai and Qatar, and you're just
Pawn
surrounding
D4.
with the ultra wealthy people at parties and stuff like that, you're gonna have this perception that everybody loves being there. That explains it. Yes, a complete lack of curiosity about the perspectives of people outside of his class. That could explain this without needing to add any nefarious, like he's being paid off or anything like that. Other weird things
Queen
he said,
H5.
I'm gonna try to like find explanations for. Like, what does it like? How did a sane person actually come to this perspective? So he had on Berg recently on his show, who is a well-known Israeli communist, and a lot of people thought that was really weird. But the one thing that Berg does have is he is very anti-Netanyahu, very anti-Zionist, and so I think
Queen
that
D3.
like. I can understand that. You want to have on opinions of Israelis who have opinions that other people may not have already heard. So you bring somebody like that onto your show, right? Next, he said, not defending the regime,
Pawn captures
but just
D4.
saying that Venezuela
Pawn
is
captures
one of the most
D4.
conservative countries in North
Bishop
or South
captures
Central
D4.
America.
Look at that.
Only to
He
El
can't
Salvador
capture the
and
bishop.
Bukake.
We
It's
can
possible
potentially.
we're
Well,
mad that
he can't
doesn't
capture this
allow gay
pawn.
marriage.
We can
That this is a
redeploy.
distinct possibility.
Perhaps
No one will
play
say it aloud.
that.
The U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela.
Rook BC
so
one
those
check.
of you who thought this whole project was global homo, you're not crazy, actually. So this is
That's
what he
rough.
said on Venezuela, right? That Venezuela is actually good. This was under the Maduro regime, and that our plan was to remove him and replace him with the opposition leader to make gay. Now, of course, none of that happened the way he thought. We removed him and replaced him with somebody to release prisoners of war and help us economically and blockade Cuba and beat the communists, not, you know. So, like, clearly his world perspective is not predictive of future events or actions. But what's he thinking here? Like, why would he be glazing? Like,
King
to glaze
D7.
I got my queen on
Iran
this.
and Venezuela and like what's going on here,
Pinning
right?
that.
I think he sees as his
Queen captures
core
B5
enemy,
check.
the urban monoculture.
Queen captures B5.
But he
There we go.
cannot differentiate, because of his world perspective, between the
All
current
right.
Western society and the urban monoculture.
So I
because
lose
he hates
5 in a
what he
row.
calls global homo, or
No, I
what
lose
we would
4 in a
call,
row.
like,
1,
one
2, 3,
facet
4.
of the urban monoculture. He
Yeah.
believed that he,
All right, what a
and he didn't
mess.
have a language for that.
But at
or
least I just
words
won
for
4 in a
that.
row.
He will
I just
then
feel like I'm on the
project that
verge
onto
of
the
getting
West
the
more
the
broadly
kind
and
of
flexibly.
sharpness
And so
that I
when
had
he
before a
sees
long time ago.
somebody
Pawn
I
E5.
got
fighting
really
both
good,
Knight
the best I've
C6.
ever been.
and
Like
against
definitely
Bishop
like.
C4.
right? Like
Knight
Venezuela
So I was
F6.
playing
is,
different
he
stuff
Bishop
sees him
too.
C5.
as an ally.
I mean,
Knight
This could
C3.
also explain
That's
his
good.
soft
Pawn
position on
D6.
Iran. It's like
Pawn
you're
H3.
fighting
Okay.
against
Bishop
the
B3.
West. The West
Knight
is
D4.
urban
Knight
monoculture.
captures
So
D4.
it's almost like
Bishop
he
captures
intuitively
D4.
understands that cancer is bad.
Bishop
And
G5.
therefore, like,
Pawn H6.
radiation
C5 is a
treatment
little
good.
Bishop
weak,
He's
but
H4.
like,
not
yes, we
really.
just
Yeah,
need
just a
to
Pawn
touch.
G5.
radiation, but he doesn't
Bishop
understand
G3.
this is like a targeted treatment or
Pawn
something.
Going
C6.
on
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this
Queen
stuff.
D2.
I don't know.
And
It's
this
Pawn
is
B5.
compounded with
Rook
fair
B1.
enough. I mean, dude,
never hangs
Queen
out with
D7.
middle-class
it's
people
tough to be
or
totally
E2.
lower-class people.
balls on
Bishop
accurate.
B6.
As
If
they
you
say.
leave
Ooh.
American
Pawn
cities,
C3.
right?
Yeah, there goes
And
that.
you
Pawn
go
A5.
to the suburbs,
Pawn
and
A4.
you go to
Bishop
Come right
captures
back.
B3.
outdoor movie screening or
Pawn
something
captures
like that.
B5.
It likes
You
the
will see
sack.
Pawn
people
captures
flying American
B5.
flags and
Castles
grilling
kingside.
and
Bishop
integrated, by the way, in
E6.
like a meaningful context.
King
right? Like you will
H1.
see people
Okay.
Bishop
of
captures
many different
H3.
cultures who are just
Pawn
having
captures
fun
H3.
being American.
Queen
This
captures
is
H3
a
check.
normal
Ooh.
King
sight
G1.
So
for
what's
people
better
of,
than
like,
bringing the
H5.
rook
you
over?
and I go
Mate
out
for oh,
H2.
where we live, which is
Christ
outside of
almighty.
Philadelphia. And this is the other area
Knight
where just, like,
captures
I didn't
F4.
see that till the end of the game, but it's
Pawn
right
captures
there
F4.
now.
If the urban
King H1.
monoculture, specifically
Rook
urban
G8.
over.
monoculture,
King
is the
H1.
problem. It intrinsically
Queen
congregates
F3
in
check.
cities. If you
King
don't,
Like, he
G1.
doesn't even live in a city personally,
Rook
so
G8
I'm also
check.
so confused by that. Like,
King
he's
H1.
like, I
Knight
think he
captures
lives up in a
F4.
It's over like
remote
Knight
this.
cabin in
F4.
Maine.
Knight captures
There's
F4.
nothing. What it probably would have
Pawn
recommends
captures
is
F4.
queen takes F4. Yeah,
King
just
H1.
give it up for that.
Pawn
That's terrible.
captures
Also
F4.
And if you try, you can't even do that. And
Pawn
then,
D4.
dude, I was sitting on it.
Pawn captures F4.
God, I didn't even see
Knight
it.
captures F4. Pawn captures F4.
There's trash everywhere.
Gosh, I'm
H1.
Like, that's
freaking.
my
Queen
assumption
F3
maybe is
check.
that, like, when
Now
you
that I
go
look at it
King
more
G1.
closely, yeah, that
major
makes
Western
sense.
Rook G8
more
check.
likely to be
That was
San
tough.
Francisco or
Wait,
Los
is that
Angeles
enough?
or New York, and as
Where
you're
are
driving
we
your
at?
Uber through any one of those
37
cities,
minutes?
you're
No,
gonna be
let's do
pretty
one more.
disappointed with what you see. Then you walk into a
You
CVS
know, an
and
hour.
get some water because you don't have
What the
it
heck?
in like a hotel, and everything's locked up. Like you would just see the worst parts of
I'm
your
finally
and you have a boomer
missing
mindset.
mates
So
instead
in his
of getting
boomer
mated.
mindset, America is two things, right? Like it's the tastemakers, the dominant culture, which he would call Western culture. We call it the urban monoculture.
Finally feel like I'm
And then
starting to
Christian
sharpen up,
culture, which is
maybe. I
fighting
don't
against
know.
that.
Pawn
Because
E4.
I got to
Like,
1590
no
again,
Pawn E6.
but
actions in his mind.
you
Rather
know,
than
right off the
Pawn
bat,
D4.
as
fighting against
but it was
large number of alternative
not
cultures that want
legitimate.
Knight
Like
D2.
it was
different
luck,
Christian cultures,
Knight
various
F6.
different- even
blind
Pawn
luck.
E5.
I swear.
Okay, so we talk
Knight
about, like,
FD7.
American apology in some of our videos.
Okay, yeah,
Pawn
we're
F4.
doing
Don't
this.
have that education,
Pawn C5.
and you're not prone
Pawn
to seeing
C3.
things that way. This world
Knight
can make
E2.
sense. But now,
Yeah.
like,
Do the
why
queen
he's so
D6.
anti-Trump. So this is like before even the war.
Queen
was
H4
declared.
check.
Oh,
earlier,
okay.
doesn't he say in various
Pawn G3.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he
that
goes
way,
like
huh?
videos that he and
Queen
Trump
D8.
are good friends?
Nobody ever does
I
that.
mean, like he was invited to the White House. He presumably thinks
Knight
he's a friend
F3.
of Trump. I don't understand.
Okay, yeah, let's
Um,
also talk about that. So there was this case where
Pawn
he went on his
captures
show
D4.
looking all freaked out, saying that the CIA had tapped his phone and was trying
Queen
to frame him for a
B6.
crime. So a few funny things about this. It turns out that he had a series of meetings. Was one, I think, only 2 days before the main bombing, and so a lot of people were like, why does he think so the branch that he thought had tapped his phone
Pawn A3.
would have had taps on pretty much everyone in the Iranian government's phone, but they wouldn't have been tapping the phones of random American citizens, which means he might have been, and what I suspect happened is he was trying
Bishop
to
E7.
book maybe with somebody high in Iran, and that's not an incriminating thing. And then he had a freak out afterwards.
Bishop H3.
But what's humorous
This
about
suppresses his f6 until he's got to move his knight somewhere, which now that I don't let him trade the knight,
Castle's king side.
it's even better for him. Or for me, I mean.
He appears to be pretty gullible. He may have actually been doing this accidentally. I don't think he would do it intentionally, but I could totally see him doing it accidentally. And we do know that they felt really secure. They were not even having that meeting in the lower, safer levels. They were having it in the mid levels, like right after we had threatened them. So maybe he did actually go and tell them it's all safe. But
it would be really hilarious if Tucker Carlson played a key role in the United States being able to like successfully eliminate him.
It would be really funny, but the even
now I'm starting to get the hang of it. I'm finally playing it right. It takes a while to do it at this time, at this speed. So I gotta eat it a few times before it starts getting ingrained in my head. Just getting out of the gate's good. You gotta get out of the gates.
Knight A5.
Good.
But one of the things he ended up saying about the government was, this is in 2025, mind you, the most depressing thing about the United States in 2025 is that we're led not just by bad people, but by unimpressive, dumb, totally non-creative people. And this is a deeply sad thing to say. I literally have never been so impressed with the effectiveness of an administration in achieving aims that
Knight C4.
care
He's
about,
getting
like
in there
reducing
anyway.
government size, stuff like this. Obviously, Trump
Just let him
has that
have
big
it.
bill because of promises he had already made.
This
But
knight is not
Doge
doing
actually
crap
did a
over
pretty
there.
good job, and Trump has continued to do a good job
So
of shutting down various departments within the government.
let's go
Like
here.
USA and
Knight
stuff like
C3.
that.
We're threatening to go
Really,
here
really
and then
glad.
sink
People are
it
pointing out how
when
many
we
leftist
could
media outlets have crashed and burned after
do
USA
something
went
like
out, and now
that.
we're like, oh my God, was this like always USAID? You know, like people are like, this was 50% of Somalia's economy, and it's like, why was that? Why
That
was it
knight is
50%
putting
of
some.
Somalia's
Man, that's too
economy? Like,
bright.
that's a problem,
I can't.
man. I didn't sign up to be the Somalian daycare of actual Somalia.
Queen C7.
Right? But
Queen
how could you say that?
C7.
If you saw the profiles, to say that the people who are like working at Doge, like my brother being one of them, of course, but then the other
All right,
people,
let's see what
they
he's
were,
gonna
like,
do with his
super geniuses.
pounds.
They were like really cool people. And having some insight into, you know, Simone and I have gone to speak at the White House, meet with people of this administration, and I have met with previous administrations of the past through other means. I've never worked with them directly, but I've met a lot of people who've worked at, because of all of our work with secret societies, other administrations. No administration has ever impressed me like this administration. At a lot of other administrations, I got the like slimy bureaucrat, lifelong DC person vibe from most of the people I met. Within this administration, it has consistently been cool young conservative or tech bro. And I think
Looking at a
see
move
this in
like
the efficiency.
Rook
That's why the
A2.
Maduro raid went as well as it went. That's why the Iran
I
thing
guess
is
we're
going as
pretty
well as it's
strong
going.
here.
I'm so impressed. Yes.
Yeah, it's because
Oh, yeah, and he
these
doesn't have anything lined up on that
and some of
crap.
them,
Can I
like,
just get away with
literally,
this?
the guy, Secretary of the Army right now, is an old friend of ours, Dan Driscoll. He's an old friend of ours, a tech
That's
bro, and he
good,
runs
good,
the Army
good,
right
good.
now, right? Like,
He,
and why
I
are
need
they
an
doing
answer
well?
for
Because
that.
they have people like him.
I can't just camp on it, I don't think.
Dude, he said a variety of fantastic things. No, he's just modernizing it and helping it work better. He's improving so many things.
Yeah,
Given how he manages
what he was
the
really
balance.
focused on is like we need to get away from like an army that is staffed based on, you know, political kickbacks to, you know, X manufacturer, Y manufacturer, and we need to focus on
G4.
what the troops actually need to get their jobs done. And that was the same with about how they fight. We had an episode on like the troops intentionally pulling their punches. Watch that episode. That was crazy for me to learn that like you couldn't shoot at a group until you knew they were armed. Like if somebody tagged them on,
Cool, he has
you
no
shoot
idea
them
what
now,
he's doing
right?
over
Like,
there,
it's
so
playing by vampire rules
let's just
in
go ahead and
episode, right? And it's like, nope, I closed the door.
juice
to
the
residential
juicer.
house.
On
You can't come
F5.
in. And they're just like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Why were we ever doing this, right? And somebody's like, well, it couldn't look bad. And it's like, I guess I don't care
See
that
what
much.
we got here.
And I like that that's the approach that they've been taking to getting this handled. Don't put
Knight
Americans in
DB6.
harm's way, but
Knight
get things handled. You want to see
DB6.
our like why are we in this war episode. We did that a few days ago with our war update. I don't want to go over all of the facts on the ground about the assassination attempts against Trump, the timeline to nuclear capability, which it appears had gotten
this
really,
knight
really
is
short.
hanging. Let's
And
play our queen to
one of the reasons
d3.
why you
Queen
can't have
D3.
Iran with nukes, which I think a lot of people
Now
don't
this
get,
gives us
is
an
like, well, a lot
option
of
to
countries
play
have nukes,
here
and they're
and
maybe
take.
malevolent actors on the world
It's all
stage,
blah,
but they're
blah,
otherwise
blah.
fine. Like Russia has nukes, right? And they're not our friends. China has nukes, and they're not our friends. Why is Iran having nukes any different from these other organizations having nukes? And I think a lot of people can just see that and not understand with like they're asking the question, what's the word here?
Rhetorical question.
Yeah, they're asking it as like a rhetorical question without actually asking, no, why? And there is an actual answer to that why. The reason why Iran is nothing at all like North Korea or China or Russia is that Iran's core tactic in regards to foreign policy, to the tune of, I think when we looked it up, it was $4 billion a year, is funding
I think I should put my...
terrorist cells
Pawn
in
captures
other
F5.
Okay,
countries.
never mind. Need to
That
make
is
it
how
even.
Iran
Pawn
Should,
captures
operates,
F5.
should
They
make
do
it a
not
little
make
easier. I think I need to
alliances
play
with
my
other
bishop
countries in the
here,
same way
challenge
that
this
China
guy.
might or something like that. They predominantly
Maybe.
operate by funding terrorist organizations.
Yeah, because then
And
I
when I
can
say terrorist organizations, I mean non-state
play like
militias
that.
are basically like
Oh,
giant
this is
Islamist
pinned.
gangs. And these
So he could
groups
play
have
this, but
no
then I could play
trouble
that.
using something like a nuke on civilians if they ever got a hold of a nuke. And that is why Iran can't have nukes, because Iran having nukes is the same as Hamas and Hezbollah having nukes, right? And these organizations, you say, well, you know, they certainly wouldn't. They're always running attacks
Bishop
on the United
D7.
States. Like, what are you talking about, right? Like, even recently, there was like a recent
Bishop
what was
d7.
the bombing of the where they drove a truck into a synagogue kindergarten. And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
completely bombed out. And unfortunately, no one was killed because good guys with guns. But his like brother was in Hezbollah or something, right? You know, like these are like actually like on our doorstep level dangers.
Yes.
So I wanted to go into that for people who do not get why Iran having a nuke, and people can be like, oh, well, these other countries fund terrorist non-state actors. Not really. North Korea does not.
Man,
really
this is
fund
gonna be
terrorist
tough.
non-state actors in other countries.
I think,
China doesn't really fund terrorist non-state actors in other countries.
Oh my God. I don't have time to calculate
Saudi
all this.
Arabia, does Saudi Arabia have nukes?
No, from
So-
my understanding.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia doesn't. The UAE does, but that's a core. The video where we talk about the Cold War between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, but that's their core differentiation. Russia actually doesn't that often. It's very rare for Russia to fund non-state terrorist actors. They typically fund, when they're doing something like this, pseudo states. So an example of that would be like Transnistria, or like
What?
Cuba. Transnistria is a breakaway state in Europe
Rook
that's still
A2.
technically living in the Communist Union.
I've never heard of this before.
You should look
Okay.
it up. It's really interesting.
I
Fun
should,
thing to
yeah.
spend night learning about, because they live with all of the old Soviet Union stylings and everything like that, and statues and programs.
Okay, I have to look this up. Like, how if I've never heard of Transnistria before?
And Russia
FE8.
will
Okay.
sometimes work with non-state actors, but more as like mercenaries to make money and gain control of resources, not in the way that Iran does, which is like maximum chaos strategy.
Transnistria.
Okay, I pronounced it wrong.
Officially known as the Pridnestrovian Moldovan
Rook
Republic,
G2.
and locally as Pridnestrovi, is a landlocked breakaway state. Oh my god, you're right. Internationally recognized as a part of Moldova. Ah. Interesting. That's just so bizarre. Okay, thank you for telling me about that. Sorry, just...
But if you look at something like Transnistria, even if Transnistria like somehow got a hold
Bishop
of the nuke,
F8.
right?
Okay.
And note here, I've said that I do not actually believe that Russia has usable nukes. They have not run a nuclear test since before I was born. Over
Yeah.
30 years since their last live nuke
Well,
test.
and the last time
Bishop
they decided
H6.
to play test a lot of their
Soviet-era
tanks
equipment, it all fell
planes.
apart.
Decoy.
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
Gotta watch
it
out for
fell
that,
apart
but I
disastrously,
want to
and
go
a
to
nuke is harder to
here
maintain than a
anyway.
truck. So
King
I
H8.
do not think any of their nukes are functional. And for people when we're wondering why can I say that with such certainty, I am fairly certain that if they had any functional nukes, they would test them just to show the world, especially right now with the Ukraine war, that we still have functional nukes as like a way of
Bishop
escalation.
G5.
Yeah, I mean, this is why North Korea does it. No one else is going to believe them. And I think they also need to make sure they're actually
Rook
working.
AC8.
Yeah.
So,
But the fact that the
Pawn
Russians don't do
F6.
it, to me, is like proof positive they don't have working nukes. But even if they gave Transnistria a nuke, Transnistria,
Pawn
isn't-
G6.
they're not like Hamas or Hezbollah. They don't say death to America constantly. They don't constantly run terrorist orgs in other countries. They're more of like just like an illegitimate state. It's the same with like Cuba, right? Like
Knight H4.
Cuba is not our friend, but they're not constantly doing terrorist attacks on us, right? They're
well, didn't you say that they are kind of where a lot of Antifa groups
yeah, a lot
are
of it
trained or something
is
along those
trained
lines?
in Cuba, like the Antifa leadership.
So,
Well, Antifa is
The
bad.
Queen
but
is
it's not like
holding all
Hezbollah
that
or Hamas.
together.
To compare,
sure, yeah. I mean, well, to a large extent, I think that maybe the way that much of Israel's leadership views the current conflict
Bishop
in Iran
captures
and their
H3.
participation in it,
Queen
it's
captures
just an
H3.
extension of October 7th, where essentially Iran attacked them because they bankrolled the entire thing. I mean, it would not have been possible without them.
Yeah, and I think it's important.
And the entire message was, we're going to keep doing this until you don't exist anymore. And so they're like, okay,
Knight captures
existential
A3.
challenge, understood. They've basically neutralized Palestine, and so now they're moving on to the source of the problem,
Knight F5.
which is Iran. And if once they have Iran handled, like once Iran can no longer bankroll their continued existential threat, they'll be happy. But they're not going to be happy
I
until
want to
then.
point out and elevate something.
Queen
Simone is saying
captures
here,
C3.
because a lot of conservatives who are pro-war are often a
Darn
little
it.
cucked on this point,
Rook G3.
where they think that
Go
Israel
away.
and us have the same aims in this war, and we very much do not have the same goals in this war. To Simone's point, for Israel, their goal
So glad my knight
is
is defending this.
economically
Chess is
destroy
just
Iran.
Queen
I mean,
captures
They want
B4.
to-
You can't-
If they could, they would bomb the South
Bishop
Pars
H6.
oil fields.
Finally.
If they
So
could,
I'm just looking to go
they
here,
would bomb,
here.
Iran's oil fields. They would bomb Karg Island. They would make it so that Iran could never economically recover, because they just want Iran gone in the most durable way that Iran can be gone as a threat. Whereas the United States, our goal is to just do as much damage to their military as possible and defang them in regards to nuclear capabilities. And outside of that, we don't
Knight
really care that
AC4.
much. Trump mentioned regime change early on, but he mentions a lot of things, right? I don't know if that's realistic.
watch
Bishop
this.
G7 check.
So now what I want
You guys
to
are
do,
gonna like this
well,
one.
I'll do it when Simone can rejoin the
Bishop
conversation.
captures G7. Pawn captures
I think it's
G7
important
check.
to understand
King G8.
what I was saying about
Queen
Iran
captures
and
H7
other
check.
Sort of
King
non-state
captures
terrorist
H7.
forces
Right?
that are
Rook
constantly
H3 check.
running attacks on the more on
Dang,
Israel
I
as well.
finally got a good
Constantly
one.
are funding terrorist attacks that we see in European countries and the United States.
King
Our groups
G8.
led to them are. And I think people don't realize how common these are because the news
Rook
doesn't
H8
report
checkmate.
them because it tries
Sweet.
to cover up
Good
anything that
fifth
could
win
be
in a row.
Islamophobic or whatever.
Definitely
But
feeling
just to
better
give you an
about
idea,
things.
Just
That was crazy.
2026, just this year, just these last couple months.
It's amazing
There was
how
an attack
there's
in Leech, Belgium, where
quadrillions of
explosive
positions
devices
that can
were detonated.
occur.
There was
Pawn
an
E6.
attack
I think
in
I've played
Rotterdam,
Pawn
a
Netherlands.
lot of chess
There
and
was an
I still have
attack
no
in
idea.
Amsterdam, Netherlands,
Pawn
on a
E5.
school. There
That's
was
why
an
you gotta
attack
hone
in
in
Amsterdam,
certain
Netherlands,
Pawn
at a
C5.
commercial
here.
center.
Knight
There was an
C6.
attack in London, the UK,
Knight E2.
where a number of ambulances
Queen
were
H4
blown up.
check.
There were attacks
Pawn
in
G3.
Austin, Texas, where a shooter
Queen
opened
D8.
fire
Look how
outside a
strong
bar.
this
Knight
opening
F3.
is. See, this
In
is
Pawn
like
captures
1814,
D4.
years
they
of
wore a t-shirt
struggle
with
against the
prophecy of
French.
Allah.
And like if
Pawn
they
A3.
try
An
this
attack in
with the knight
Michigan,
f6 at the beginning and you get the
where
e5
they
in there,
rammed a truck into a daycare.
at least I got that taken
at
care
a-
of.
at a
I can get to a
synagogue.
good
That
strong
makes you not
position.
care about it,
And
but
we're
yes.
11 moves deep.
This
Bishop
happens
E7.
all the time. All the time.
Bishop H3.
Okay. We
Castles
have been
king side.
consistently under attack by Iran for a long time at this
Castle king
point.
Knight
side.
A5.
But if you listen to
Just
mainstream
let
news,
him
you would
drop
be
in
unaware
there.
of it
Knight
because
C4.
of many of these attacks.
Knight
Incompetence
C3.
is
Queen C7.
Oh.
Pawn G4.
So my whole premise is
Queen
not
C7.
good, though. And even after all this crap, there were other opportunities here. Queen E1.
At war with us. We just weren't fighting
Yeah,
back.
okay.
What this war is us finally fighting back to a war that they had actively been operating,
but
we had been neutralizing.
Pawn G4.
Who's gonna know that, yeah, A5 is the way.
Pawn A6.
Dude.
And saying, well, we're
Pawn
not at
G4.
war because the missiles aren't landing
Queen
very
E1,
often.
how
And
does
that's what
that...
it was terrorist attacks on the United States
I guess
and
it's
Iran.
good.
Is we were at war.
Pawn
We were
A6.
just zapping most of the terrorist plots, like
Pawn
the
F5.
2 assassination attempts on Trump, before
What's
they
he
ended
gonna
up in
do?
Knight
anything
DB6.
meaningful.
Crumble.
But you can't just sit there forever
Queen
while
D3.
missiles are being lobbed at you, and that's what was functionally
Pawn
happening
captures
in the States
F5.
with Iran. So
Pawn captures
finally,
F5.
and I think we can really wrap up
Bishop
Tucker's world
D7.
perspective and something that happened
Rook
with
A2.
Alexander Dugin
Rook
interview that he had in
A2.
2024.
It's liking it.
Rook
Dugin
FD8.
when talking about Putin.
Rook
So it's like a
G2.
pro-Putin guy. He goes,
Strong.
Bishop
Putin is a
F8.
traditional leader who contradicts the global
Bishop
progressive
H6.
agenda. Given someone
King
with
H8.
nuclear weapons,
Wait, what does it
is
say
very
here?
strong
It
defending
It
traditional
says
values
bishop takes
you're going
G7.
to abolish. I think they have some basis for this
I have a
Russia
feeling.
and the hatred
Bishop
of Putin,
captures
to
G7
which Tucker
check.
agreed, saying what
Bishop
you're describing
captures
is clearly
G7.
what's
Knight
happening in
G5.
Knight
Russia.
G5.
So
Oh my
essentially, what has happened to Tucker,
And then it's
because of the
spaz
circles that
out
he's
time, huh?
around, is he has become
Rook takes, knight
incapable
takes,
of
queen takes,
distinguishing
knight
between
D6.
Western values and urban
Like,
monoculture values.
everything loses.
And
But what about...
therefore is taking the position of
There's
things like
nothing you can do.
or Russia
It's so weird. There's a
against
lot of
American
freedom of
interests
movement,
and
but
against
there's
Western
nothing good.
interests.
That's
Because
when
you
it's
can't
hard to see.
how that's different from, as he would call it, global homo. And when you understand that, you can understand
And
why he acts
is
so
Bishop
this
captures
playable?
G7.
in his mind,
Pawn
the West
F6.
That's pretty
is
darn strong
enemy,
too, but not
because
quite
the
as
West
strong.
is global homo. There is not a oppressive urban monoculture
Yeah.
trying
Bishop
to stand
captures
out
G7.
through traditional Western values.
Bishop captures
The two
G7 check.
things are one and the
Boom.
same.
Bishop captures G7.
Yeah,
Knight
okay,
G5.
just-
What if he
so
plays like
lost
this?
the nuance of it.
Pawn
And you just
H6.
take
Yes.
it,
And he,
Knight
yeah,
captures
then
and
what?
F7
Then
check.
take it?
I don't want
King
to
G8.
fall in
Is
for
that
it.
the
And
best?
I'm
Knight
not
captures
also gonna say that
H6
Queen
check.
G3 is
Russia's
better,
choice
huh?
to
King
position
G8.
itself as
Queen
the country of
G3.
traditional
Queen
values
G3.
is
It's pin old lad.
illegitimate
If he
or
takes
fake in
here,
some way,
then
but
this
it
is checkmate.
manufactured. That doesn't mean that it's fake, because saying I'm committed to
Crazy.
this is saying I'm committed to this, and I respect that. Like
So
that's
the
them saying,
attack
"These are our
wasn't-
values, we're going to support them as a government," and they're standing
And
behind
the
them with a whole bunch of,
the plan
like, media
wasn't
regulations and
optimal.
education things and whatnot.
But the
it's
opponent
still
rarely finds the
propaganda.
optimal
I'm not
response
against
to
propaganda,
a
but it's
pawn
still
storm,
propaganda, and he
which
doesn't
was
seem to
to
recognize
to
that
play
in the
A5
role that it's
and
playing.
counterattack
So-
more vigorously.
Yeah, well, I also think that
But yeah, that's
the
cool.
whole gay thing really has
Oh,
not that much to do
I was
with
tired.
how
I'm glad I won a
good
bunch
of
at the end, though.
ally you
Now
are
I
against
feel
the
at
urban
peace.
monoculture. The
I
entire
can
gay
move
culture
on,
talking
and we'll
point
come back with
has
some more
been
later.
largely dropped
But
by the
for
New
now,
Right
that's
Coalition.
Blind Chess
Like,
signing off.
it's
Have a
not
great
an
day.
important hill